Hey folks, Real Honesty with Jarmithlin. I'm Jarmithlin, and this is Times in Wrestling to Piss Me Off, Redux Part 5, where this is going to be, at least in the beginning, it depends on how many topics I end up covering, a very women's wrestling heavy show, where I want to say, I respect women's wrestling. I cannot believe the amount of shit that they have to put up with. And I'm going to try to keep my rants light, though I'm going to maybe get a little vicious as far as creative decisions and everything. But women's wrestling deserves just as much respect as men's wrestling. Let me just say that right there. And for those that have been watching up to this point, you know what to expect. It's going to be better than my Ustream series that I did where I enjoyed those, but those rants got a little bit unfocused, and because of video quality issues, I've decided to redux it. And I probably will end up uploading 6 to 7 total parts by the time that Mania rolls around. And then I'm going to take a break for like a month or two and then revisit it in the summer when there's a bit of a lull period in the WWE product. But anyway, here we go. This is your life with Alexa and Bayley. This was fucking terrible. This was terrible all around, and it wouldn't have mattered who was in there. Alexa and Bayley did the goddamn best they could, but this was WWE's way of just slamming Bayley and making her seem ridiculous and making her seem useless and pathetic and weak. And look, I get the fact that Bayley maybe was super over in NXT and Vince didn't fucking get it because Bayley actually connects with kids on almost a John Cena-like level, or at least did for a time, and could have been the female Daniel Bryan, and now she's going to need a lot of rebuilding because they fucking ruined her. This was like during the Alexa Bayley feud, and this was building up towards Extreme Rules for the kendo stick on a pole match, which was also fucking terrible. But this had an actor playing, like 2 actors. It had Bayley, it had a guy playing Bayley's first boyfriend, and then this girl that was playing Bayley's best friend, old best friend or whatever, and then they ended up liking each other and kissing. It was terrible. It's Claire Lynch levels of bad acting. But then Alexa had all these trinkets and this kind of stuff on a table. And it was this boring ass segment. I mean, the Durban, I actually reviewed it. I think, God, I don't remember which one exactly this was. I think it was in Greenville. It was in Greenville. It was one of the reviews that we did in May just before Extreme Rules. And it was atrocious. This segment was absolutely atrocious. I mean, I could not fucking believe how bad this was. I mean, this was really, really fucking bad. Like, really fucking bad. Like, how in the world could somebody have said, oh, this is a great idea? Because Alexa didn't come out looking any better in this. Bayley came out looking even worse. The crowd booed the shit out of it or was completely silent depending on, what section or what part of the segment it was. They weren't reacting positively. It wasn't like good heat. It was like, oh no, this is shit. We're just going to boo the hell out of it. And I felt bad for Alexa. I felt bad for Bayley. I didn't give 2 shits about the actors that were there playing the boyfriend and the best friend. I didn't care about them. I mean, they shouldn't have gotten, horrible threats or anything, but they were just there. They were just pawns. Alexa and Bayley, this did nothing for their feud, which wasn't the best feud anyway. I mean, it was fine going into, I think, Payback, where Alexa won the title from Bayley, which, by the way, Bayley still should have won the title at Mania, and then even if she only held it for like a month, or, a few weeks, at least she would have gotten that Mania moment. But whatever. The whole This Is Your Life segment was really fucking terrible. It was really fucking terrible and did no favors for either of these women. It was one of the worst segments of the year. And by the way, I did talk about, I did do a lot of top 10s for the best worst of the year, and maybe even top 15s as far as 2017 went, so feel free to check those out. They're on my countdown page. And then we go to another thing, and the quote, he didn't have much fight in him, did he? Your little baby brother didn't have much fight in him, did he? This involved Paige and Charlotte. It was right before Survivor Series. Depending on who you believe, and I mean, it could have been Charlotte that suggested the whole thing with Reed. It could have been somebody else. I don't know. I'm not here to pass guilt onto either performer. But this was bad. This was not a good way to get heat at all. Paige looked like a complete bitch, and not a complete bitch like, oh, hey, I'm going to take your title. I'm going to mock your family and your brother that died of a drug overdose. Now, however you feel about drug overdose and however you feel about that stuff is neither here nor there. This went too far because it was for like a 3-week build. It wasn't like Paige and Charlotte had been feuding since, say, the summer. If Paige and Charlotte had been feuding even since, I don't know, June, and we were 5 months into this feud, it still wouldn't have called for it. But at least at that point, you could have said, okay, we need to spice something up because this feud's been going on 5 months. The promo was uncomfortable, really awkward. Whoever cleared it, it was a bad idea. Apparently Ric Flair and even Reed's mother did not know about it. Well, if they actually didn't know about it, especially Rick, but especially the mother. I mean, yeah, that's Rick's kid or whatever, but Rick was in the business. He understood people are fair game. Unfortunately, some things go too far. The fact that the mother wasn't even told, and she had to find out that after finding out her son died of a drug overdose, she had to hear that and not know about it ahead of time. That was a dick move. Dick move by everybody involved that did not inform the parents. That was really, really bad, and it was not any good. I remember actually ranting about this when I ranted about it in my review of that particular Raw, which, like I said, was just before Survivor Series in 2015. And then also even did a How Far Is Too Far video. And you guys can go back and watch that if you want. I mean, it's over 2 years old. I really did enjoy doing that one. Because that's not the only example of WWE going too far with stuff. There have been plenty of times they haven't. There have been plenty of times wrestling companies have gone too far. I'm all for having, edgier stuff and stuff like that, but mocking a dead relative. I hated the Eddie Guerrero thing when that happened, when they were mocking Eddie Guerrero. And Orton, and I'm not knocking Orton. Orton didn't want to do it. Orton didn't want to say Eddie's not up there. He's down there in hell. Orton didn't want to do that. So I'm not gonna presume that. I will talk about that at some point. I will talk about that segment and a particular build with Eddie Guerrero, using Eddie Guerrero's death. But this was unnecessary, and it didn't serve a purpose. It didn't work for any of the wrestlers. It didn't spice up the feud. It made the match actually seem more flat. And that's really sad because there could have been some good spice to it. Charlotte and Paige are both very, very capable in-ring performers, and this really didn't do any good. So now we go to the third of 4 topics, since I realize I'm kind of running through these topics. This is one that may get me some hate. I really don't care, quite frankly, because I'm not telling you guys you can't be fans of these people. But Kelly and the Bellas being in the Women's Royal Rumble. Now, I get it. They only had a certain amount of women on the main roster and in NXT that they could call up. So they had to have a bunch of, they had to have past women return. I would have preferred Victoria returning. I get why they returned. I do. They have their fans, and they were allegedly big parts of women's wrestling for a number of years, I guess. And they had their moments. But Kelly can never run the goddamn ropes and always fucking botched anyway. I mean, I remember very few instances where she didn't look like a 3-legged antelope in the ring. And I mean, all due respect to antelopes. Like, she just didn't look, she looked clumsy and she looked sloppy and didn't look like she knew what she was doing. And she probably didn't. She was being thrust into the ring at a very, very early age. I think she was signed at the age of 19. And that was in what? That was in like 2006? I think late 2005, early 2006, because I know she debuted on the new WWE ECW, but just, she wasn't any good. And she left in 2012, and I mean, I'm sorry, I didn't miss when she left. And then she made her return, and she didn't even take her jacket off. She was botching like any potential like near elimination. She barely could hit the head scissors where she screamed, it sounded terrible. Scared my damn cat over there. But anyway, it sounded literally like a printing press was about to like crash, or like an old like old dial-up or something like that. Old dial-up internet, trying to connect to AOL. That prehistoric and everything, for those that don't remember how that was. But yeah, Kelly she looked sloppy, didn't look like she belonged. I mean, okay, whatever. She was back in the ring. Okay, cool. Fans were happy. Great. I wouldn't have had her back. I would have had Victoria in there. Seriously. What fucking purpose did Kelly have? Victoria at least could look dominant. I mean, I don't know. Victoria might not, maybe she's not on the best terms with the company. Maybe they couldn't come to an agreement. I don't know. Maybe she had prior engagements. But Kelly being in the ring was ridiculous. And now we get to the Bellas. Now look, Brie wanted to wrestle for her daughter. Okay, great, whatever. Brie was never any good anyway and shouldn't have been in the goddamn ring. At least at this point. Sorry, she just wasn't any good. Now she got to do it, like I said, got to do it for her kid. Okay. Whatever. I mean, Brie mode is one of the most annoying themes ever. I mean, it fits considering... I'm sorry, neither Bella can really talk very well, and Brie isn't really... Brie is the less of the talkers, or the least of the two as far as like talkers. It's just she wasn't whatever. She got back into the ring and got in good shape. Okay, good for her. Whatever. I mean, I didn't want her in the final three, and I sure as fucking look. I want to say right now, Nikki Bella. Not a fan of Nikki Bella. Never have been. Never will be. I do want to say though, her suffering that neck injury. I don't want her to be unable to live, function, and be able to have a career. I just don't think that career should be in wrestling anymore because her neck is suspect. That's the unfortunate thing about neck injuries. You never fully recover to 100%. Necks are tricky like that. Necks and backs are tricky like that. We sort of need them to function and live. But Nikki Bella, who... Has she improved in the ring? Sure. She didn't have anywhere to go but up. Is she a bad person? I don't know. I mean, hers, the longest reigning Divas champion ever, was bullshit. And that's not really against Nikki. It was the booking. The booking was shit. But no, I don't want anybody to tell me, oh, Nikki Bella has improved. Nikki Bella earned her spot, whatever, this kind of stuff. Okay, you can have that opinion. I'm not saying she shouldn't have been in the Rumble. It's just the fact that they got, especially both Bellas, got the spots they did. Kelly was gone well before the end of the Rumble because she wasn't any good. But the fact that both Bellas were in the final three is ridiculous. You should have had Trish in there. You should have had Sasha in. Well, I mean, Sasha was like in the first two, so maybe that wouldn't have been the best. But Trish... and I don't know, Natty or something like that, have like kind of a cross thing where it's like Trish, one of the originals. Natty, one of the longest tenured women that they've had in the company, and Asuka, a fairly new woman, even though she's been with the company for a few years. That would have been the nice kind of stuff. Because the Bellas didn't belong in the final three. And that's really what the complete bullshit of the whole thing was. And it would have been one thing if they had brought them into the ring, brought them into the Rumble, and say you have Peyton and Billie Kay debut in the Rumble. And they didn't debut for reasons, I'm sure. And I mean, I think it has to do with surgical things that the company had done to them. As far as new pictures that I saw. Now, I'm not blaming Peyton or Billie. I'm talking about changes where I think that's kind of ridiculous because there was nothing wrong with how either woman looked before. Seriously. Nothing wrong with how either woman looked. I mean, they didn't need to change things about them. But just the Bellas there, I mean, and like, I was so afraid at first that Asuka was actually going to get eliminated and we were going to get Nikki Bella as winning the Women's Royal Rumble, which would have been a slap in the face and would have brought down the show by a full grade. And just would have. It's 2018. The Bellas do not need to be in the ring anymore. They don't. Unless you're going to have them put over the Iconic Duo and have them put over... I mean, really, that's the only other match I can think of. And it doesn't look like we're getting that at WrestleMania. Unless they're going to do that, unless they're going to, like, say, do it for SummerSlam, there really isn't any point in having the Bellas come back. There isn't. And I just hated the fact that these three women were taking up spots that, quite frankly, should have been taken up by other women, especially Kelly. Kelly's the worst of them because she just wasn't any good. But anyway, I'm going to talk about one more subject. And this is going to be men's related, by the way. It's going to be about Nexus being beaten at SummerSlam 2010. John Cena, who was apparently given the, right to decide on the finish, decided that he was going to take a DDT outside that should have, ended it. Well, it should have ended his career if we're going to, be honest. But it's like all those bumps should have done that with anybody. But that should have easily had him beaten. And the fact that Cena then beat, two of the Nexus members, including the leader Wade Barrett at the end, to be the one standing tall was ridiculous. The Nexus had just made their debut about 2.5 months ago. That was a bad decision. It killed the momentum of the Nexus. Whether the Nexus would have lasted until WrestleMania or not is anyone's guess. There are people that like the Nexus, people don't like the Nexus, and that's fine. That is totally 100% fine. But this is something that I've always fucking hated. One, Bret Hart shouldn't have been in the ring. I love Bret Hart. Absolutely love Bret Hart. I think Bret Hart is tremendous. Shouldn't have been wrestling in 2010. Sure as hell shouldn't have been part of this match. Now, I know why he was part of this match. Apparently, Ricky Steamboat was going to be part of it, but suffered some kind of brain issue. I think an aneurysm, which is unfortunate. But Team WWE was comprised. You had Daniel Bryan make his return, that kind of stuff. That was cool. You had Edge and Jericho, and you had a lot of, tension on Team WWE. Just the fact that the Nexus didn't wipe the floor with Team WWE was kind of ridiculous. Now, it was a great match. That 7-on-7 elimination match was absolutely great. Fantastic, well done, good drama. Except for the finish. The finish brought it down. And yeah, that's the thing. Unfortunately, a bad finish can undo a lot of great things that a great match did. And Cena doing that, whether it did come down to Cena saying it, or whether even Creative finally said, you know what, okay, we're going to go with Cena. That was stupid. And even Cena's admitted that he should have put the Nexus over. Now, whether that would have led to the Nexus lasting another 6, 7, 8 months, who the fuck knows? Who the fuck knows? Just honestly, it's fucking ridiculous, fucking bullshit, and that is one of the worst decisions that WWE has made in the modern era, especially in this decade, from 2010 to 2019. That's going to go down as one of the biggest blunders that WWE did, because at least we could have seen then if the Nexus would have fallen on their ass, or if they would have been able to succeed. My guess is they probably would have fallen on their ass. But at least it wouldn't have been the status quo of Cena wins, LOL, this kind of stuff, whatever. Just ridiculous. That was a terrible rendition of a John Cena theme. But anyway, I've got some WCW stuff coming up in the next in the next video, and in particular a rant about Sunny, where yes, I will talk about that. But anyway, that's what I have to say. What do you guys think of what I've said? Are there any things you want me to talk about? And bear in mind, I pay attention to the comments if you guys let them on the various videos, and I have put them. I put them on this list. I actually have now about a page, and I'm getting to almost 2 pages. Like one page, I'm only about halfway through this page, and I still got about another, the rest of this page and another half page left. So, and that's just stuff I can think of now. I probably can continue to add stuff. Because who knows, I'm recording this before WWE Elimination Chamber. I'm recording this the 23rd of February. So by the time Chamber's over, I might have a couple other things. And who knows, I may have more stuff by the time WrestleMania comes around. I may add a few more things to it. So anyway, like, share, comment, subscribe. Twitter link in the description. It's been Real Honesty with Jar Mifflin. I'm Jar Mifflin. I will see you soon.